Just a reminder to vote in this week's Locals poll, where you decide what deck I take to Locals every single week. Without any further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and for today we have the deck profile for the deck we brought to Locals 2 weeks ago, being Dark Magician. I've been very busy, so I haven't been able to sit down and record this until now, so thank you for your patience. But yeah, we did all right. We did pretty good. We beat a different Dark Magician deck in the mirror match. We beat Blue Eyes, and we did end up losing against a Sprite variant, but it was still a pretty good duel though. So here's a cut to what it looks like on paper, then we'll get to the card by card. All right, so starting off, we have, of course, 3 copies of the Dark Magician, and as well as the obligatory Dark Magician Girl. So I don't think these guys need any introduction, really. So yeah, we're just gonna move on because it's a Dark Magician deck. So Dark Magician needs no explaining. Next, 2 copies of Timaeus, the United Dragon. This one, it helps facilitate fusion summons, especially for things like Dark Magician the Dragon Knight or Dragoon. So really nice there. Next, 3 copies of Apprentice Illusion Magician. This one, it's kind of like a pseudo-honest for the deck. It buffs your Dark Spellcaster monster that's battling by 2,000. So this is good to be able to just push for damage, whether offensively or even defensively if your opponent is attacking. Next, 3 copies of your main normal summon, which is Magician's Rod. When this one is normal summoned, you can add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand that mentions Dark Magician in its text. During your opponent's turn, if you activate the effect of a spell or trap card, then you can tribute a spellcaster to add this back from your grave to your hand. I personally don't use this one or use that effect all that much. It's mainly for the normal summon effect. Although you certainly can, and it's fine. Next, 3 copies of Magician's Souls. And for those of you with a very keen eye, I have 1 each of the gold, blue, and red ultra rare text, because I wanted to be cheeky like that. But basically, you can send a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your hand to grave, or excuse me, from your deck to grave as cost. And then you can either send this to the grave to revive that monster, or you can special summon this. Obviously, it's mainly going to be to send this card to the graveyard to revive either Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. It's usually going to be Dark Magician. That way you can trigger Circle and blah, blah, blah. Next is what I would say is the MVP of this deck's showcase at Locals, Magikaribo, running 2 of this little guy. He saved my butt during the mirror match, because I actually fell behind during game 3, and this little guy gave me what I needed to make the comeback. So props to Magikaribo. If you take damage during either the main or battle phase, anytime during that same turn, you can send this from your hand to the grave, special summon either a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your deck or graveyard. And then if one of your spellcasters is destroyed, then you can add this back to your hand. So yeah, I took damage from a direct attack for something. Since it was during the battle phase, I activated Magikaribo, special summon Dark Magician, trigger Circle to banish his Eternal Soul, and then it just was all downhill from there for him. So that won me the mirror match. It felt really good. Next, for the rituals, I'm running 2 Illusion of Chaos and 1 Magician of Chaos. So now I'm just going to go ahead and say this up front before some of you start furiously typing in the comments section. You do not have to run Magician of Chaos. I'm only running him because I think he looks cool, and his effect is actually kind of cool too. So basically, when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, you can pop a card on the field. And his name is treated as Dark Magician, so even if he gets destroyed after you ritual summon him, you can bring him back with Eternal Soul, trigger Circle. Circle will activate his effect to pop another card on the field. So it's just nice if you can get it. But now, if you wanted to really streamline this, you would run 3 Illusion of Chaos. But I'm going 2 and 1 because I specifically want to run Magician of Chaos. Now, for Illusion of Chaos, basically, you use this for its in-hand effect. You reveal this card and add either a Dark Magician or a non-ritual monster that mentions Dark Magician in its card text from your deck to your hand, and then you place 1 card from your hand on the top of the deck. So it's just kind of a way to fix your hand. Like I said, I'm running 2 of it and 1 of the Magician of Chaos. If you want to streamline this deck, then you would run 3 Illusion of Chaos, but I'm running this guy just because I feel like it. Because I want to. I think he's cool. I really like him. It's just a personal preference. Next, moving on to spells and traps. Moving on to the more kind of generic spells. 1 Magicalized Fusion. You fusion summon a Spellcaster Fusion from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials from your field or graveyard. So this is kind of a oh crap button if we need it. Next, 2 copies of Fusion Deployment. So with this, we reveal any of our fusion monsters that mention Dark Magician as fusion material, and we can just summon Dark Magician straight from the deck. Or if you want to use it for Dark Magician Girl, you can also do that by revealing Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. But it's mainly going to be for Dark Magician to trigger Circle, of course. Next, 2 copies of the Eye of Timaeus. So basically, target a Dark Magician monster we control. Fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck that lists that monster as material. So this is a way we can get Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, or Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, or some of our other choice monsters, like say Dark Paladin, or something like that. So yeah, this basically gives us access to 3/4 of our extra deck for free. Next, 1 Dark Magic Attack, because an in-archetype searchable Harpy's Feather Duster. Why not? Next, 3 copies of Piercing the Darkness. Now, this isn't a Dark Magician card by name, but it's really good normal monster support, and considering that you want to be special summoning Dark Magician every single turn, the advantage is just there, because once per turn, when you normal or special summon a normal monster that's not a token, you can draw a card. And then when an attack is declared involving either a level 5 or higher normal monster, or a monster that was fusion, synchro, Xyz, or ritual summoned with a normal monster as material, you basically get Honest, where you gain attack equal to your opponent's monster's attack. So it's really good for pushing for damage, and then, of course, drawing a card pretty much every turn is really nice. Of course, I've mentioned this one a couple times now, Dark Magical Circle. When it's activated, you look at the top 3, you can reveal 1 Dark Magician or a spell or trap that mentions it, and add it to your hand, and the rest go on the top of the deck in any order. And then if Dark Magician is normal special summon to your field, then you can target a card your opponent controls and banish it. So that's really nice. Next, 1 copy of Magician's Salvation. It's a field spell. Basically, when it's activated, you set Eternal Soul directly from the deck. And then if you normal or special summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you can target the other one in your graveyard and special summon it. The special summon effect doesn't really come up that much. It's mainly for the setting of the Eternal Soul. And this is a Prismatic Ultimate Rare from Rarity Collection 1, for those of you wondering. Very beautiful card. Next, 3 copies of Soul Servant. So this one, you basically stack your deck with a card that is either Dark Magician or mentions it in its card text. And then if you have Dark Magician on the field, or Dark Magician Girl, or if it's in your graveyard, you can banish this card to draw that many cards. So basically, if I have one Dark Magician, one Dark Magician Girl, I draw 2 cards. If I just have Dark Magician, I draw 1. Next, 2 copies of Secrets of Dark Magic. It's a quick play. It's either a fusion spell or a ritual spell. So really nice there. Nice flexibility. Trap cards. 1, Destined Rivals. It's basically a one-sided skill drain for the turn if you control Dark Magician. And then, of course, Eternal Soul. We're running 1 of this. And the reason we're running 1 is because, A, you can set it directly from the deck with Magician's Salvation. But also, B, because even if it gets destroyed, you can actually put it back on the top of your deck with Soul Servant. Because it takes from hand, deck, or grave. Something that mentions Dark Magician. So when you flip it, Dark Magician is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Then once per turn, you either special summon a Dark Magician from your hand or grave, or you can search for Dark Magic Attack or Thousand Knives. Obviously, in this deck, we're only running Dark Magic Attack. Decided to cut Thousand Knives. The value just wasn't really there, in my opinion. And then if this card leaves the field, all of your monsters get destroyed. So there is a drawback. Next, moving on to the extra deck. So, oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is that Fusion Deployment locks you into fusions. So if you activate Fusion Deployment, you cannot summon these guys, Ebon High Magician and Ebon Illusion Magician. So 2 Illusion, 1 High. We don't actually summon High very often. It just lets you activate a quick play or a trap from your hand by detaching a material. And then it special summons a Dark Spellcaster type monster from hand or deck when it gets destroyed. So it's okay, but personally I actually prefer the effect of Ebon Illusion Magician because you can detach material to special summon a Spellcaster normal from hand or deck, and then when a normal monster declares an attack, aka Dark Magician, you can target a card your opponent controls and banish it. So it's just extra removal in addition to Circle. Next, I'll call them our auxiliary fusions. We have 1 Dark Flare Knight, 1 Dark Cavalry, 1 Dark Paladin, and then 1 Master of Chaos. So these are what I call our auxiliary fusions. Or I guess I'll just go ahead and throw in Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight in there as well. These ones, you don't really summon them that often unless you absolutely want to. Dark Flare Knight, this one's literally just because I think he looks cool. That's the only reason he's in here. And because he mentions Dark Magician. Dark Cavalry, if there's a bunch of spells and traps on the field and graveyards, you can summon this guy. He does do a negate for a targeting effect, so if they have something that targets, you can bring this out as kind of like a counterplay to that. Dark Paladin, of course, he hates on dragons, so I was actually able to bring him out against Blue Eyes, and he got up to like 6,400 attack, so that was really nice. Master of Chaos. Basically, when he's fusion summoned, you target a light or dark monster in your grave and special summon it, so you can use that with Magical Circle to get an extra banish if you haven't summoned Dark Magician that turn. And then you contribute a light and a dark to banish all monsters your opponent controls. Obviously, the only light monster in this deck is our copy of Timaeus. So that part's not really going to happen very often, but, you know, the potential's there. But then again, this is just one of those that you summon if you absolutely want to. You don't have to win. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. You can use this with Fusion Deployment to get Dark Magician Girl directly from the deck. And then once per turn quick effect, you can send a card from hand to grave to pop a card on the field. So those are our auxiliary fusions and our Xyz monsters. Next is for the regular fusion monsters that you would summon more often. 2 copies of the Dark Magicians. So basically, every turn when a spell or trap or effect is activated, once that, resolves in the new chain, you get to draw a card. And if it was a spell or trap, you can set it and then you can activate it that turn. If it's a trap or a quick play spell. If it's destroyed, you can spell summon a Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl from hand, deck, and or grave. So that's kind of nice. Oh, I actually should have put this one with the auxiliary fusions. This is Amulet Dragon. This is, of course, with Eye of Timaeus. But depending on the matchup, this can be actually really good. I remember one time, it's not in the training for locals video, because this actually happened when I first built the deck. So, like, sometime... Oh, my goodness. I guess that was 2 years ago now. Oh, my goodness. 2 years ago. I was playing against Sky Striker, and I summoned Amulet Dragon against them, and they just insta-scooped. It was hilarious. But yeah, this banishes all spells from the grave when it's summoned and gains 100 attack for each. And then when it dies, you can target a spellcaster in your grave and special summon it. So, Amulet Dragon. I love that card. Next, 2 copies of Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. He protects your spells and traps from your opponent's card effects, and he becomes Dark Magician while on the field, so Eternal Soul protects him. 1 Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, of course, because why wouldn't you include the fusion of Yugi and Joey's Ace Monsters in a Dark Magician deck? It's really good. You can hard summon it with Timaeus, the United Dragon, or you can cheat it out with Eye of Timaeus. And finally, 1 Quintet Magician for the funny. Basically, you would only realistically use this with your copy of Magicalized Fusion to banish from the graveyard. So basically, if he's fusion summoned using 5 different spellcaster monsters, so they have different names, you just get to blow up everything on your opponent's field. And then it can't be destroyed by card effects or tributed, so that's really nice too. On a 4,500 attack body, so that's really nice. But yeah, so that's going to be it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. It's a fun little casual deck. And like I said before, with like the rituals, I'm running that one just because I want to. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. It's not the best, so you don't have to. I'm doing it because I want to. But yeah, like, subscribe, vote in the locals poll, that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.